Hello, welcome to the second video of our People Movers Moving and Handling training session. In the first video, I listed the outcomes for this for this training session. And in this video session, we will be going straight to the first outcome, which is the obligations that employees like yourself and employers have with regard to manual handling. Now, first I want to ask you to take a few minutes to write down your definition, your own definition of manual handling. The reason I'm asking you to do this is because I have a definition that I am going to share with you, but I don't want you to uphold that definition to the exclusion of your own tried and tested work-based definition, which is why I want you, before I go ahead to read out this definition by the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents, I want you to take some time, about 2 minutes, just a couple of lines, and write your own definition. So whilst you're doing that, whilst you're writing out your definition, I have a question for you. Now, what do we need a healthy back for? What does a healthy back, what activities of daily living, what functional capabilities of life does a healthy back allow you to do? So, how are you doing with that definition? Are you nearly there? Healthy back? What does a healthy back allow you to do? See, the two are linked. So if you are struggling with a definition, just think manual handling, definition of manual handling. In other words, I just have to think having a healthy back. Yes, what does that allow me to do? So, for example, when I've actually asked this question in class sessions, these are some of the responses I got about what a healthy back allows us to do as individuals. It allows us to walk, to stand, to bend, to play, to sit, to lift, to work, to sleep. So basically, a healthy back allows you to participate in any activity which you need to enjoy a full life. I hope by this time you have finished writing down your definition. Okay, so I'm going to read out the definition of manual handling, which is the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents. I don't want you to cross out your definition when I read out this definition, and I'll explain that in a minute. So here it goes. Any transportation or supporting of a load by hand or by bodily force. This includes lifting, pushing, carrying, moving, pulling, and putting down. I'll read that again. Any transportation or supporting of a load by hand or by bodily force, and this includes lifting, pushing, carrying, moving, pulling, putting down. Now, if your definition is one that mentions any of these activities, great. Now, if it doesn't mention any of the activities, I want you to pay attention to your emphasis. And because I found that when I did this in a workshop session, I found that there were a lot of people who mentioned doing these activities, or one or two of these activities, but they also mentioned the way of doing it. They said doing it in a safe way. And other people mentioned doing it by the use of equipment. Now, if those were your answers, or your answers were along those lines, don't discredit your answers, because your response is probably closer home, is probably more realistic, more relevant to your place of work. And I'll give you the context of this definition, because we're going to just talk about obligations. Okay. So we have, for the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents definition, we have the kind of definition that is linked with the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. So an act of parliament, an act is a law that is being passed by the legislative body of the government, an act of parliament. And just bear with me, this clip is going to be about 2 minutes longer than the previous one. So in that act, which was basically an act that was passed to give parameters, stipulate the conduct of workplace activity in a safe and a healthy way. Because in the workplace, there is a high risk of injury. Most workplaces have got various hazards, and that varies from place to place. But each workplace has got potential hazards. So this legislation was passed to sort of give some parameters, to draw the line, to give guidelines as to provisions for a healthy workplace. And as a result of that, there was the responsibility or the obligation of the employers, which was to ensure they have a safe place of work, to provide safe equipment, and to provide information, training, instruction, and supervision. Safe place of work, safe equipment, information, training, instruction, and supervision. Now, the employee also, according to the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974, has a duty to take reasonable care of, first of all, their own health and safety. They have a duty to care for other employees. So in the performance of your job, you have to take into consideration its impact on other employees and visitors, etc. And they have to cooperate with the employer in performing duties under this Health and Safety at Work Act, and report any concerns during their in the course of their work. And we will continue elaborating more on this in the next video clip. Thank you.